How you doing, Trey? How you doing?
You know
Feeling
what?
good Friday.
Yeah, feeling good on this Friday, right? Well, tell us a little bit about you and your background, because I know every author, just like every artist, they have something that makes them do what they do. Tell us a little bit about that for yourself.
Yeah, I'm Josias Jean-Pierre. I'm actually from the Caribbean. I live in Haiti. I'm Haitian. Haitian immigrant, migrated to America as a kid. My story around writing started when I was 14 years old, when I was introduced to writing, knowing what spoken word was all about, and really forgot the calling as a writer. I didn't know I had a gift of writing until I was stretched by Freshest Roots, a nonprofit organization here in Seattle.
Amazing. See, sometimes it's that next level, right? Where
Yeah.
you get to kind of look inwards and see yourself for all that you can bring to the table. So we're going to just kind of play this clip because I want people to hear a little bit about your works. We're going to go ahead and run this clip. This is Knock Knock, just a piece of it by Josias Jean-Pierre.
Knock, knock. Who's there? It's me. The seat of the young boy whose hands were up. Knees on the ground, be compliant with rules, but still got shot down. Who is this, you may ask? I'm knocking because the family is still looking for answers for the deadly shooting of Mike Brown. Knock, knock. Who's there? It's me, the kid who was lied about. And because I did not belong, they killed me without hearing me. They silenced me while I was innocent. My mother cries, but America won't ever understand the pain. Won't ever know how it feels like when Lady lied about your seed, which caused his death. But I still got killed. I'm knocking because no justice was served for Emmett Till.
Wow. Josias, powerful, powerful piece. Tell us about, so obviously the inspiration is what we're seeing happening and unfold across the nation. But tell us about that personal challenge to yourself to really create a piece like that.
2020 was a wake-up call for a lot of people, especially around the world. You have a pandemic, epidemic. You had, you couldn't help to see back-to-back incidents of injustices happening over and over and over again. And, I had to look back and throughout history to see, hey, it's a different generation, but the people on the front lines are kids and youth and young adults and everybody being involved to be part of the solution of justice. And I thought to myself, when I was a kid, I thought like a kid. I acted like a kid. I didn't have to fight for in the front lines. But now seeing who's, coming forward now is different. And I told myself, you know what, as someone who's in the schools, as someone who's in the front lines for justice, I've been noticing a lot of times what's been happening in the front lines is not what's happening on TV. What's portrayed on TV about what's going on is different from what's really happening in the front lines. And a good example will be 2020, I want to say May, when the lady blew up Seattle police cars. And they said, we couldn't know who it is. But then me and my good friend Chris Wilburn, we seen a lady blowing up cop cars. And the cops are around their cars, around their vehicles, but didn't do anything. And a lot of times we see even SPD, who was before the protest ever even happened, destroying property before the protest. But then it was advertised and marketed as, hey, it's the black folks in Seattle causing harm. And, I'm like, no, it's not the black folks in Seattle. So as someone who's been in the front lines, done security in these protests, been involved in these protests, I say, you know what, let me do something about our cry for justice for people who don't understand why we fight the fight that we do. When people who don't understand why we cry over and over and over again wanting justice, let me put a whole book of poems so people can understand, hey, it's not just around law enforcement. Let's look around systemically around financing, homes. You just seen Wells Fargo have denied multiple black people who qualify for home ownership just, getting a home. Every system in America, when we think about black and brown people getting access to, there is impact in a certain type of way.
Yeah, no, there really is. And the fact that you said, I'm going to do this through poetry, I think really speaks volumes to probably how people were connecting with the messages, because, it's a unique way. It's a unique perspective of putting real life experience into something that probably is even maybe is more digestible for people. I mean, what was some of your approach when you were crafting your book and thinking, poems is really the way to go for a lot of these stories that you wanted to put in that book?
Yeah, writing has been my therapy for a lot of reasons. But one of my biggest inspiration happened in 2018 for me when I was impacted by law enforcement, which sent me to the hospital. I was in a breathing tube and stuff like that, and I was so impacted by the incident that I didn't want to drive for a long time. I didn't want to drive. I called my younger brother Jonathan. Was like, "Hey, I'm in the hospital." He called my mom in the hospital that my mom was working at. Like, Joe was in the hospital. So my mom had to go to her room, see her son in breathing tubes, fighting for his life because of anxiety attack of experiences happening over and over again. And I was like, PTSD for Black people is not post, it's present.
Yeah.
And it's traumatizing to see things happening over and over again. So when it happens to you, it's very different. When it happens to you, the fight for it is just goes to a whole different level. And so when it comes to the whole writing process, I know one thing for sure was the writing process for this project here. It was kind of nervousing. I was actually afraid to put it out there, just because you see the whole tension of what's going on. People want to silence the Black people's cry, Black folks cry, Black folks tears. They don't want to hear what's going on. They want to benefit from the Black's existence, but never benefit or be there for the Black individual. So I was afraid. So I was, talking to my therapist at the time. I was like, yo, should I submit this book? Because it's heavy. This is 2020, and they don't want to deal with this already. And I don't know if this will be turn out to be very good. So I started it in October. These are all the poems from 2007 to present. So all the poems written throughout the years about injustices is in the book. It's in this book. And I submitted it over, and I got the notification from Amazon that it hit 4 categories of Amazon's bestseller.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, okay. Like, this is nice. Then just recently hit another category for African American poetry in Amazon.
Wow, Josias, congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, this for me, this is what Converge is about.
Yeah.
Of course, we do news and stuff on the morning update show, but we're about uplifting Black stories. And your story is definitely one that needs to be uplifted. When you think about the process, you got to tell us some of the mechanics behind the process, because I know there's a lot of people out there that have a great story in them, that have a book in them. Tell us about some of the logistics behind the process to get to all this amazing bestseller crushing it lists.
Yeah, 3 books in. This is my 3rd book.
Wow.
So the process for me is there's not really a set process in writing a book. Everyone is different. My process is I always get to an area where it's quiet, where I just turn everything off and I just free write. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what's gonna be on the paper. I'm gonna just free write and see what comes out. And then from there, once everything has been done and complete, I go back and review it, making sure everything flows very well. And then if I feel like it's good, I just submit it over to publishing, and they do the rest. They do all the editing aspect. They do all the cover, making sure everything flows very well. All I do is make sure that it's on paper and making sure that I have the time that I need to make that happen.
So, I mean, when it comes to something like finding a good publicist,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think that now there's a lot of self-publishing opportunities out there. Amazon is one, right? Tell us a little bit about what you did to find a good kind of publishing house to allow for your works to be, now, big like they are.
Yeah, so I always tell, like, my publisher I used was Life Chronicles Publishing, a Black-owned publishing company in Washington. Sharon Blake is the owner. So what I did for directly was I didn't go to Amazon directly, because with Amazon, when you go to Amazon, they do a split, but they get majority of the pot than you do as an author, and you get your payout like months later down the road. So you don't get it instantly. What I did was I went directly through a publishing company that provides the services. And the difference about self-publishing and actual traditional publishing is the fact that you own 100% of what you created.
Mm.
If you go to a traditional publishing company, then they do a majority, they own it, they do majority of it, they have control over it. You don't really have a say about your work because you went through the traditional publishing access process. So I went through Life Chronicles Publishing Company, and from there on, what they do is they do all the publishing in the Barnes and Noble, Amazon, Lulu.com. So all these major retail stores, they do it, all the publishing access that way. If you do it through Amazon, you have to be responsible to do everything through Amazon, Barnes and Noble by yourself, which could be a whole lengthy process. But when you submit it directly through an actual company who does the work, like a third-party service that doesn't work, then they do everything for you and get it out there for you.
Well, people are probably wondering. I know it's in my head, it's buzzing. You're going through a traditional publishing house and you're talking about them owning your work, but are you still getting paid well? I mean, you're talking about, bestseller, people are probably like, wait, is this a route for me to take?
No. So basically what it is, what has to happen is when you do some publishing, you own 100%. I do all my self-publishing. I don't go through traditional publishing assets. Now, when it comes to my books being sold, I always tell people, go ahead and purchase directly through me. Once you get it through me directly, you get a signed copy sent to your address, sent to your house, whatever, because you get paid out right up front. So I always tell people, when you have your book out and it's on the market platforms, don't tell people go to the Amazon or Barnes and Noble to buy your book. Get a copy of your books, keep a copy of your books, and then market that way. So I have a Square link where people could just go ahead and go to the link, purchase the book, and then wherever they are around the globe, I'll just send a signed copy to them, and they have it. So then at that point, you get paid out right there. I know with Square, they take like a couple cents just for a transaction. So you keep the rest. With Amazon, I want to say my last transaction with Amazon, my book for Barnes and for the What Is Your Why, like $21. I got like $9. So it's different.
Okay.
So even when you talk about marketing your book and getting it out there, make sure you have your own copy. Just so someone's like, hey, I want a book. How can I get it? Don't send them to a third-party link, Amazon or Barnes and Noble. Go directly through your own link and have them purchase it.
Well, you've really shared so much great information with us today, and what an inspiring story you have, Josias. I'm just so glad that we were able to showcase it. I know we've been working on when we're going to get you on the show. Busy schedule. We really appreciate you making time in your schedule to be here today on Feel Good Friday. Before you go, you got to look right there in that camera and let people know how they can purchase your book. What is the title? Where they can get it, how they can find you and follow up with you in your story.
You can push me on JosiasJeanPierre.com, JosiasJeanPierre.com to purchase the books. All 3 books will be right there available for purchase. Matter of fact, as of tomorrow from 6 to 10, I will be at the Station Coffee Shop for the Seattle Urban Book Expo. So if you are in the area, nothing to do, come out tomorrow at the Station Coffee Shop. Multiple Black vendors, multiple artists will be there present to sharing their craft.
Oh, Josias, great work. And thank you for being out here in the community. I'm telling you, fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.